The circumstances that we're seeing in the financial markets around the world, no matter where we live, no matter which asset class we are looking at, has never happened before for Bitcoin. Now, this is the first time in history Bitcoin is going to experience these types of market conditions. So let's dive into what they are and what we can expect when these conditions really do take off. As I said, it's a first for Bitcoin. It's a relatively young asset class, and we haven't experienced this type of market behavior at all before in the history. So you know what to do. Hit that like and subscribe. Thanks again for all of your support here on the channel. Your home, macro cycle analysis, crypto, Bitcoin, stock markets around the globe, and of course, the biggest cycles in the world, the real estate cycle. Now, I've got heaps to get through. Links in the video description before we kick it off. Bybit, BitGet, and your Palau Digital ID. Check out the website down here if you want to get your hands on these sorts of deals. All right, guys. I'm going to kick it off with the media before we get into these massive things that are happening, because we need to get a bit of a picture of what happens through the market cycles as we lead into some of the unforeseen circumstances as they would have us believe. This is basically a graphic of what the market has actually done in history, going up. That's the Dow Jones. So the markets have been going up throughout history. And yes, there are some pretty significant collapses, and I suspect the markets, the global markets, everything around the world will have a significant collapse. But what has been happening is we've seen higher highs and higher lows for quite some time now, and the markets continue up in the face of all the doom and gloom. And if we were to believe the media, well, this is exactly what should have happened to the markets throughout this period. We have to understand that at the end of the day, the doom, gloom, and looming whatever is the main thing that sells news. So there's always going to be doom, gloom, and looming recession calls. People trying to forecast the recession, people trying to tell us the recession was last year, this year, next year. It just keeps everyone broke because they are waiting for this collapse so that they can buy in. But typically, if there was a collapse, they wouldn't buy in because we just saw it. In 2022, we had a fall of 25 or so percent. Most were waiting. We had another mega drop in March of 2023. Most were still waiting, and the markets took off. And then again in October, markets dropped, and the markets then took off from that point, leaving most behind. A quick update for our cycle over the course of 2023. We were looking at this particular roadmap here for the markets bottoming late October. This is just based on history as well here. For the orange line, you can see the markets basically topped out in July, went nowhere, and then bottomed late October, early November, and then they took off from that point. Just looking at history here, going back to the 1950s, so roughly 70 years of history told us that the markets were going to go up, but the doom and gloom in the media told us that the markets were going to continue falling. And some of our favorite analysts online and all that sort of stuff, again, the same sort of thing, looking for recessions, looking for markets to collapse, because I think people have this sort of fantasy that they want to be the next big short caller and get a movie made about them. But unfortunately, the majority of the time, the markets go up, as we can see over the course of history. But there are major, major collapses that do come. So looking at some of the unpopular opinions for December 2022, as we build up to some of these times in the market, or this very significant time coming up in the market, which Bitcoin has not experienced in its history. These things are happening for the first time, and they're all coming together at once, which can only mean one thing. Unpopular opinions, December 2022, we're looking at S&P bottoming, not crashing. Remember where we're going here. Back a year ago when the markets were at their lows. Real estate is not going to crash, and we've seen 8 to 9, maybe even 10 months of straight gains for real estate. Australia and the US, looking at that particular data from Case-Shiller Home Price Index, month after month, it's been up and up and up. The second half of 2022, which was a very fearful time and just recession everywhere, and the first half of 2023 are buying opportunities. I mean, that's what we've suggested here. Bitcoin was bottoming. Well, remember, I wrote this a year ago. Most crypto are terrible DCA investments. Most crypto, not all of them. And we are definitely flipping into a altcoin bull market, macro speaking, but there will be pullbacks because of this comment. And then you can see the comments that I get on YouTube. Why so negative towards altcoins? This is the sort of stuff that happens when newbies come into the market, and that's all we hear from them. So for me, we are well and truly going to get a macro crypto altcoin bull market, but there's always pullbacks, and typically a significant pullback before things go absolutely wild. We'll continue to follow charts. If it doesn't happen to be a significant pullback, so be it. We just get in on the confirmation, and to me, the sentiment is definitely there that the macro bull market for altcoins is coming. People are just thinking things are negative all the time. So these were the opinions back then a year ago. I've still got to do another update on this on Twitter, so make sure you follow along on Twitter as well for the next update of what I think might come in 2024. Moving on from that, what happens at the lows? Because we're moving into unforeseen times for BTC. All these things coming together have not happened for Bitcoin ever. Bitcoin is 14 or so years old. The markets have been going up since 2009. That's the stock markets. And for the real estate cycle, it's been up roughly since 2011, 2012. So we're into that 12 or so years. So coming towards the end of that, there is going to be some crazy times. What is going to happen at the time? This is my opinion, and what I think happens is we're going to see some of the biggest names in business and in the investment space, in finance, in the banks, your Jamie Dimons and Michael Saylors who love their Bitcoin, Elon Musk, biggest brains getting things done in the business world, and entrepreneurs, inventors, etc. Right? They are amazing in their fields. When it comes to economics and the economy and the markets and cycles, I'm happy to say, at least for my own analysis, they have almost zero idea. That's just how I play it. If you're offended by that, I can't help you, but do your own research and go back and have a look. This is the sort of stuff that I look at because they take a lot of the limelight and they take a lot of the mass mindset that goes on out there, right? And if they're looking at a recession lasting from October until probably spring of 2024, which is only less than 6 months to go now, this was entirely incorrect. Not anything about Musk, just the opinion of the markets, right? This was where it was called recession until 2024. That's October. That's the low. Wouldn't you much rather be buying at the lows? Wouldn't you much rather be buying at all of these lows as the market has made over the course of history? Here is your COVID crash, and the market started to creep up from that and basically explode. You had about 10 months here in 2015 into 2016 at another significant low. But this was a very, very severe time in the markets. Although it didn't go down that much, it kept a lot of people out of the markets. And then, of course, it skyrocketed. You take it off log, you can see the extent of the move from that point, from 16,000 points up to 36,000 points. So 100%, this is stock markets. And basically, we're just having a look back over history at all of these low periods in the market. There is a fair amount of time here. You're looking at 15 months. You got about 5 months at the bottom, 5 months, 10 months, 10 months. This is the dot-com collapse into the next boom. 9 months, 10 months. And basically what happens is people are waiting for confirmation that the market is going to go up from that point because, well, most people have said that the market has to collapse at those lows. You do have some time in the market, and right now we have basically been up from that low for about 14 months. So the window starts to close here and the FOMO sets in. Basically, I'm trying to paint the picture here to show you that the lows are formed on extremely bad news with extreme voices in the markets of finance and business and banking and whatnot. At those bottoms, most miss out. And then they get in late when everyone is talking about how great the economy is. And it happens every single time. Bitcoin is about to go through one of these, what I think, based on my analysis, a big move as we break out of all-time highs. Look what happens when we break out of all-time highs. The markets they love to go ballistic for a certain amount of time, maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years. We have to wait and see. I'm not trying to call how long that will be for, but we just do have to be prepared for the absolute FOMO that comes into the market. Now, what we are beginning to see are markets around the world going into new all-time highs. The German market, the third largest economy in the world, behind China, behind the US, hit a new all-time high. It also hit a new all-time high this year. Well, it's hit a new all-time high I think 3 times this year already. This is probably the 4th time. And the last one, it went into a technical recession. Remember, everyone's trying to call for these recessions and expect the market to collapse. This move to the downside was roughly 11 or so percent when they went into a recession. But look at what happened straight out of that. Just flogged everyone and went to new all-time highs. So let's not get caught up on the calls for recession, the risks of recession. Is a recession going to come in 2024? All I'm saying here is let's just follow the charts, because you can see that there were higher lows forming, even though we have to get pullbacks. Pullbacks are absolutely fine. They're natural. It's a good, healthy part of markets to basically get the people out that don't think the markets are going to go up any higher, to get those weaker hands out. But there's also plenty of money and investors who are taking profits at that time, because maybe they've been buying up at lower prices and they need to take some profits. That's all natural as well. So here's the German market, new all-time high. It has just been higher highs and higher lows. I mean, this is, as I said in the post here, it's basically like TA, beginner TA 101, higher highs, higher lows for an extremely long amount of time. That's the German DAX. The top 50 stocks in Europe just broke to a fresh high in 16 years. 16 years. So this is another thing building up for what I think is to come for BTC. There is a lot of bullishness that has been building around the world, around the globe, and it's now starting to show its hand at these new higher prices in people's stock markets. We've gone through many of the reasons why it could happen or why it shouldn't have happened, or the excuses, the manipulation, the money printing, the inflation, the whatever. The main thing is, would you rather have your money on the sideline because of all these reasons, these negative reasons, or would you rather have your money working for you and making gains? I'm pretty sure you know what the real answer is to that. It's a rhetorical question. I know where I would rather have my money, even if there is inflation, even if there is whatever else going on, so that my money can work for me and do what it needs to do. So the Euro Stocks top 50, a new fresh price for the last 16 years. And we just wait for this chart to load, and there it is, all the way back in 2007. The all-time high was back in 2000 at the dot-com peak and obviously the collapse. Maybe we get there this cycle, maybe we don't. The main thing is, it is TA 101, higher highs, higher lows, coming through and then breaking out of these tops as well. So this is just a quick table of the largest economies in the world. US, a few percent off a new all-time high. China, let's forget about that for now. We've talked about that before. This video will be way too long if I get into that. Germany, new all-time high. Japan, just about to have a look at. India, also going to look at. New all-time high. Japan, new highest price in the last 33 years. UK, trading around the all-time high areas, which is already hit, and we'll continue to follow up on that as well, which is part of the Euro 50 stocks, the top 50 there. France, very close to a new all-time high. I may even have to check that again. Italy breaking out of tops. Brazil getting very close to a new all-time high. Canada in 10. Russia also getting back above its 50% level after going into war against Ukraine in 2022. It has skyrocketed, if you've been watching. South Korea also up there. Australia trading around all-time highs. Indonesia, emerging market, up there as well. So I've just ran through those markets to explain how the world is really pumping their markets. I don't care about the politics. I don't care about the recession fears or anything about that. I'm just interested in where is the money going. Just break it down, make it nice and simple. Where is the money going? Well, seems like it continues to flow into the markets around the world. The Nifty, here it is, India's top 50. We looked at this back here on last week, brand new all-time high, did a new all-time high again, new all-time high again, and yesterday, new all-time high again. This thing is pumping up. When markets break into new all-time highs, that is a major, major signal that they could potentially go even higher. This was one of Gann's biggest rules. Buy high, sell higher. Sounds crazy, but it works. So that is the Nifty. Here is Japan, just 1.4% off another 33-year high. The S&P 500 having a little bit of a pullback here. We've got 16 days or 11 trading days. You can see we're about 6% away from the all-time high. So they're basically lagging the rest of the world when it comes to hitting new all-time high prices. But we could see from the Dow Jones that it was only just a couple of percent away from a new all-time high. It's about 2.6% from a new all-time high. The CAC, this was the French market. It was 3.3 when we looked. It's now less than 2% away from a new all-time high. And we just went through those here, friends, number 7 there. So there has never been a time in history that the majority of the world's top 10, top 15, top 20 countries have all been in new all-time high territory or around their new all-time high territories with pretty significant structure in play here. Higher highs, higher lows, getting ready to at least test the previous tops. We just haven't seen this through Bitcoin's history. What can we make from this? Well, you might know my view by now. I think Bitcoin is in its macro cycle. I think we're going to at least come up and test these old all-time highs sometime in potentially late 2024. And if it happens earlier, so be it. The main thing that we need to do is just follow the charts and have a look at where some of these corrections could come from. This move has been very, very significant. We look at our swing indicator here. We have been up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if you're familiar with Gann's rule, a 7 to 10 bar rule, typically you'd expect some sort of pause or correction within that sort of 7 to 10 bars in the same direction after a significant move in either direction. Happens to the downside and also to the upside. That does not mean the market will collapse from this point. It just means that it can be held up. And we've seen it happen in the past, as we pointed out in previous videos looking at this specific rule. So it's just something to be aware of so that we can hopefully set our next positions up, because everything is lining up towards this mega move to the upside. The rest of the world is doing it. I suspect that the risk is going to come into other asset classes as well and continue to push these markets up, which, as we've covered, is a precursor to a major collapse after that point. But I'm not going to get too worried about that because we're not expecting a collapse anytime soon. These things will probably still take a bit of time to play out to the upside. And it's essentially just a symptom, the greed, the fast greed, the greed that everyone misses out, the FOMO type of greed, is a symptom of what is to come next. It's a symptom of that collapse. And we're also seeing it in the real estate markets, as I pointed out, as we lead into the peak of the roughly 18 to 20 year cycle. Now, on the topic of market turns, we're just looking in a shorter term time frame here, as we've been looking at the macro on the yearly charts, like looking at major moves. The shorter term stuff, Michael's done an amazing video on looking out for where these market turns. If you guys have been following this channel back in 2021, April, which is where I was looking at the top of the market coming in, posted this on videos, and I also went on other channels to talk about it, is at this time, everyone was looking towards 80 grand Bitcoin, 100 grand Bitcoin. It was going ballistic. But this was a key pivotal moment in April, and then again in May with the lower top and a failure to break these tops that signaled, at least to me and hopefully most of you guys that were watching at the time, that it was probably going to show some weakness. And that's exactly what happened from that point. So this is a really important signal to look out for. And Michael has found this through his back testing. I suggest going to follow his channel. I'll leave a link to it in the video description. But yeah, it can really help save your ass when the rest of the world and everyone around you is telling you that the market needs to blow up even further. You can see that how well it's called the market turns at key pivotal moments, even on these really pivotal moments here at monthly lower swing tops in the face of all the bullishness that's coming out. What isn't so bullish is some of the cryptocurrencies. So although we can be extremely bullish in the macro, there are some times where the markets need time to cool off. So sometimes this goes over people's heads. I'm trying to do my best to help out with that. But at the end of the day, it's all on you. You have to go away and take the information for yourself. In this case, ETH BTC. We're just looking at the strength of Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin obviously has been stronger for quite a substantial period of time here, where ETH BTC had topped out back in September 2022, roughly 8.4 million Satoshis. And just recently, it has broken to a fresh low, taking out the low of October, taking out the low of November, which is the ETF, the BlackRock ETF news, and has basically given back all of those gains plus some. And probably now that it's broken those lows over the course of maybe the coming days and weeks, it's probably going to give back a little more and come back to test this quite significant June 2022 low. So with the weakness in those alts, it's possible, as we pointed out, and I won't go into this too much because we've covered it in previous videos, but you can just see as an update here, Solana had a few days down. It's tried to recover on higher volume. For now, the market has closed and it closed relatively low here. So this doesn't happen overnight. That's the main thing I just want to point out. It's just a matter of continuing to follow to see where the correction is. So overall, massive things to come, as we can see from almost everything around the world. But sometimes the runs get a little bit overhyped in the shorter term. So this for me is a shorter term, across the last several weeks and months here. And then they need a bit of a pullback, which is a fantastic opportunity to know that the confirmation is there, meaning that we've paid the premium. We did not buy the lows, because the people who buy the lows or talk about it say, I wish I would have bought those. They typically wish they would have bought every other low as well. Don't be that person. You can do better than that. And then you just wait for the confirmation. The price we pay for the confirmation, though, is the premium to the upside. The market has basically shown us now that this is most likely, there's no guarantees, but it's most likely that these are the lows against its Bitcoin value. And the pullbacks now are the time to get in. We have a bit of time. I'll leave that up to you guys. Like and subscribe. Massive video, links in the description for Michael's channel, and of course Bybit, BitGet, and your Palau Digital ID if you want to go down that path as well. I'll see you back here again for another mega video. Much appreciated with your attention, time, and likes. Until then, take care and peace out.